it's finding slope, which we did a lot of last year. Slope is the angle that a line goes up or down. So remember, there's 4 types of slope. The line's either going to be going up, down, horizontal, or vertical. So if the line is going up, remember what kind of slope that is? Positive.
Down is negative.
Down is negative. Horizontal.
Right.
Horizontal is 0. Remember the Z's.
Z, what?
Horizontal is 0. Vertical,
I'm confused.
Negative 0.
no. Before I go too far, you may have forgotten, they use M for some reason for slope. So on the yellow sign over there, if you forget, it's got the y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. But if it's a vertical line, and you remember what that slope is? No? What is it? There is no slope. You can either put no slope or you can put undefined. You can abbreviate. Most people do this because you can abbreviate U and D for undefined. So either one you want to put. The way we find a slope, if you remember, it is rise over run. The rise is up and down. The run is side to side. So it's completely backwards from graphing a coordinate. All right? You guys got to put your iPads away. When we plot a point, like 4, 1, we go right 4 because that's the x, and up 1 because that's the y. When we do a slope, it's backwards. If you've got a slope of 4/3, that means you rise 4 and you run 3. You go up first or down if it's negative, and then right 3 because it's positive 3, left 3 if it'd be negative 3. So the way you figure that out, if you've got 2 points, is it's the y minus the y over the x minus the x. And that's what most people that get this wrong forget, because it's easy to think the x is going top. So again, that's just something you got to memorize. So if you had 2 points, if I plotted those 2 points at 2 over 3 up and 5 over 2 down, I could draw a line through there and I could find the slope of it. I could either look at the graph by starting at one point and going to the other. Doesn't matter where you start. If I start here, I've got to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got to go, no, this is 3. So I go up 5. 1, 2, yep. And then I got to go left 2.
That's negative 2 then?
Yep. So this slope would be 5 over negative 2. Now if there's a negative, it doesn't matter where you put it. I could write it like this, or I could just put the negative right out in front. Negative can go on top, bottom, or out in front. Because I could have started here and went down 5 and over 2. Okay? Now, you don't always want to have to graph these to find the slope. So it's quicker just to use this. Remember, this is x, y, x, y. I do want to point out, if you look in your book, they always have this there. They sometimes put the 1 and a 2, sometimes a 2 and a 1. All that means is just take the second y minus the first y and the second x minus the first x. But it doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you do it the same way for both of them. So I could go y minus y will give me a 5. And since I started with this y, I have to subtract this way. 2 take away 5 is negative 3. Same slope we got. Oh, I had the wrong number here, huh? from 5 to 2. Yeah, it is 3. It's left 3, not 2. So that's why it doesn't matter if I would have subtracted this way. -2 take away 3, I would have got a -5. And then 5 take away 2, I would have got a +3. They're the same answer, it's just the negatives on the bottom here and the negative on the top there. Now, you guys remember doing slope last year, I hope.
Yes.
Okay. Rate of change. These are for word problems. Like miles per hour is a rate of change, feet per second. Anytime they ask you to find the rate of change, it's just the slope. So sometimes in a long word problem, they tell you to find the rate of change. If there's a graph, the answer is just going to be whatever the slope is. Okay? Okay, so find the slope of the line passing through the points. Let's see if we got this one here. Here. So you don't want to have to graph them. You just go y minus y over x minus x. So y minus y, 2 take away -1 is 3, because remember you got to change the sign. And x minus x is -9. You don't need to reduce it, but you can. That's -1/3. Just remember when we're correcting them, if you have a slope that's not reduced, it's still correct as long as you got the right numbers. So they'd say classify the line by its slope. Since it's a -1/3, it's a negative slope, right? Which means it would go down. Here, y minus y, I get 0. And then x minus x is -3. Can you have 0 on top?
No.
Yes. Where can't you have 0? On the bottom. So this is slope, or 0 is slope, which means what kind of line is that? If the slope is 0, it's a horizontal. So if I had these 2 points, the y minus the y, 7 take away -3 is 10. The x take away the x is 0. You can't ever have 0 on the bottom, which means what's the slope?
No.
No slope.
No.
Or undefined, which means what kind of line is it?
Not sweet. What did
It's a
it say?
vertical, yep. Remember, the no slope goes straight up and down. The 0 slope is horizontal. So, that's really all we're doing today. You're finding the slope. Okay?